The city of Memphis already has 2 boat landings, one here called the Cobblestone Landing, the other a stone's throw away here at Mud Island.
Only seconds after Jacoby got into her car, a man jumped in the passenger side. The man told Jacoby he had a gun and that he would shoot her if she didn't give him money.
We knocked on the front door several times. No one ever answered. No one's home.
High-rise fires like this one are especially tough on fire crews. You can see some of them right now taking a break, resting, after 3 of their own had to be sent to the hospital.
DUI laws are changing across the state. On the first offense, it's a mandatory 24 hours in jail and another 24 hours picking up trash on the side of the road. For everyone who passes by, there's a message on your back.
Linda says she was in the passenger seat. Her husband was behind the wheel when she noticed a domestic dispute in the middle of the road. Her husband had pulled over in this parking lot. Linda was on the phone talking with 911, describing what she was seeing, a fight in the middle of Jackson Avenue, in and out of a tow truck. The last thing she remembers, walking over to this sign, telling 911 her location, Jackson Avenue and Towns. Then she was hit. 100 grams of crack cocaine, several $1,000s in cash, all of it investigators say they discovered on this man. Agents first tried to arrest Courtney Robinson in the parking lot of Baptist Memorial Hospital in Covington.
When we pulled up, he saw us and jumped out of the car and ran.
And he ran into the hospital with detectives chasing him inside. About 30 seconds later, he came out through the emergency room area towards the parking lot. The suspect ran into his car to get away. Investigators say he rammed a deputy's cruiser as he fled the scene. The pursuit lasted only a mile. The suspect then crashed off Highway 51 in Laney Bridges Lane. The suspect then got out of the car and ran. Detectives say witnesses then pointed out to deputies where the suspect was hiding in those apartments.
Pictures were bounced, because obviously it's on that wall on the other side, and it was scary.
Elizabeth Cavaness lives next door and was home with her young son when officers finally got Robinson into custody.
Stayed on the other side of the room until it was over, and that was about it. It was pretty quick.
A takedown, putting a suspected dealer behind bars, taking drugs off the streets.
The family SUV is bashed, battered, and busted, totaled and towed away. The family home is beaten, bruised, and broken. Thousands of dollars of damage from a terrifying few seconds.
I heard 2 loud bangs, shook the whole house.
A car slammed into the Mosses' South Haven home. A Chevy Trailblazer missed the curve on Greenbrook Parkway, hopped the curb, and crossed the lawn. It hit the Mosses' SUV, then flew across the yard.
Every kid has a messy room, but this wasn't on purpose. The Mosses' 2 daughters were right here in their room when that car hit the house.
The girls are not hurt, neither is their 11-month-old sister. She was in the kitchen with her mom when the far wall crumbled.
That's the only way them kids walked out of that room, is by God. I mean, you can't explain it any other way.
His explanation is based on the history of Greenbrook Parkway.
We made a home out of it.
Jimmy Rhodes has owned this house since 1973 and counts 2 deadly wrecks on the Greenbrook curve.
There was a guy on a motorcycle when I had some renters in the house that got killed, hit this tree here. It's just a dangerous curve.
Danger, leaving Justin Moss with a request.
You really got to understand.
They can be the shining jewel in a neighborhood. Parks often are a source of serenity and sport, exercise and energy. For Lana Washington, bringing her 3 children here to this park off Mendenhall is a routine her family craves.
Good time to spend with your kids after you get out of work and they've been in school all day, relieve stress.
But the thought of guns allowed here, where her children and dozens of other kids play, gets her pretty fired up.
That's something that should be kept where it needs to be kept, outside of a place that's supposed to be designated for kids only.
But that may not be true if a piece of legislation working its way through the Tennessee House becomes reality. This bill would allow anyone with a handgun carry permit to pack heat in parks, playgrounds, and other recreational areas.
This gun is fake, but real guns could be showing up if this bill is signed into law in parks just like this one and all across the state.
If they trust you to carry on the street, what changes when you get inside the park?
Bill Langham is a carry permit holder and works at Guns and Ammo. He says the law helps people defend themselves against criminal activity, and with this bill, it'll include parks.
These gun-free zones merely tell criminals where they'll be safer to perpetrate their crimes.
But hundreds of other moms, Lena Washington insists, will pick up their children and stay away.
I'm not going to come to a park anymore. We'll just have to sit outside.
Alongside I-40, a small mobile community sits on the only slip of land still dry. A few dozen people live here temporarily.
You can't hear a mosquito flying at night down out here.
People like Bobby Smith, now displaced by high river water. Smith typically lives on a piece of dry land a few hundred yards in the distance under that row of trees. But now, in his converted bus, Smith is waiting for the water to recede.
Because I like it over here. I don't want nobody to rent my spot from me.
His spot sits between the river and the levee, a precarious spot Bobby Smith and others deliberately chose, fully aware of the possibilities.
When you move in here, you know it. When you come in here, if you don't know it, somebody's going to tell you. That when that river comes up, you know, a situation going to change on you.
Change Gene Pichelote learned to love long ago. He says the flat-bottom boats are a way of life he cannot part with, and the Mississippi River, a magnet.
I've been on it since back in the early 40s, and I ain't going to leave it. I ain't going to leave it.
No matter what?
No matter what. Well, one day I might float down to New Orleans somewhere, but until I drown, no, I ain't going nowhere.
And he's not alone.
I don't want to go nowhere. I done been everywhere it is in the world. But this right here is the neatest, quietest everybody I want to sleep on.
I looked up in the sky and saw the big black thick circle. It was stationary and, you know, no lights or anything like that. I stayed there for about 20-30 minutes and then it started disappearing.
On a small country road, across a green pasture and above a not-so-distant tree line.
Pretty strange.
Something strange keeps the neighborhood abuzz. Something hovering in the sky turns an age-old question fresh again. Are we alone in the universe?
I just kind of lingered there.
Jan Yarbrough saw that unexplained figure in the sky Wednesday night just after 8 o'clock. She grabbed her camera, snapped a series of photos. But is that car-sized, translucent black outline out of this world?
It's a good picture.
A picture leaving neighbors not necessarily sold on the paranormal, but definitely open-minded.
Watch for little green men, I guess. Stuff's been getting in that garden back there, but we figured it was coons. Now it may be something different.
Different? Sure. But extraterrestrial? Doubtful, says Jan.
I'm sure there's an explanation that's simple, but it was just interesting.
Just looking for some logic in a close encounter.
Only a game for most. What would you do if you found $3,000? Give it to charity. The question is a reality for Kennedy Morton.
I would turn it in without a doubt.
An answer he's already proven. With a fare from the Peabody Hotel to the Hampton Inn in Bartlett, a fare he'll never forget.
The conversation we had was about morals and values in today's world.
The conversation would turn into a test. 3 hours after the ride, he found a billfold at the base of the sliding back door, complete with ID and cash.
Brand new crispy $100 bills with the new smell to them and everything, fresh off the press.
He counted $3,000.
I said, oh my God, I need to get this back to her.
And so, Kennedy Morton fired up his cab and took I-240 East to 385 toward the hotel. With all that time to change his mind, he drove and drove and drove, determined to give back $3 grand he easily could have quietly pocketed. When Ken got back to the drop-off point at the hotel, he found his ride inside the lobby. He turned over the loot, and he says she told him she felt like she won the lottery.
What was her reaction? Oh my God.
Her reaction, priceless. For Kennedy Morton,
I couldn't have looked in the mirror at myself if I had kept it.
Peace of mind and a previous conversation were worth far more than money.
So I did prove myself that I was a worthy person. I do practice morals and values.
Dave Burnett is attacking the leaves in his yard for the first time this season.
And all the big trees in the neighborhood here we're lucky to have. They're nice in the summertime with the shade, but in the fall you got to pay the price.
With a little help from hired hand Jesse.
Take a big bag for a lot of leaves. All these leaves for this big old bag.
These big old bags will be on the curb soon enough, and therein lies the problem. All across the city, bags of yard waste are stacking up. For some, the bottom level of garbage bags represents round one. Round two of leaf pickup simply piled on top and more than half as tall as me. According to the city, changing trees and dangling leaves, combined with the holidays, create a yard waste backlog every year.
We're no further behind this year than we were last year. Not that we're behind, but it's just our peak season.
Solid Waste Administrator Keith Richardson says a new plan will go into effect next week when the city will reallocate a series of heavy-duty trucks dedicated solely to yard waste collection in an effort to increase productivity. In the meantime,
be patient. We will be there.
They ask you pick them up and hang in there.